Obviously, you see that going to front burner right now. That popcorn's starting to pop. Domestic attacks on police stations and schools. And, of course, you'll see all the pre-programming and conditioning. They'll have it already within minutes of it happening on the controlled corporate media. And they could hit us with a nuke and say it's an asteroid. 2, it could be a wild card. They could release a bioweapon and say it was natural. The financial collapse is going to be part of the crisis because they did stage that. But now it's been basically put into a motion to where it can't be stopped. And it's just going to be absolutely horrible. Unless we get enough people out there fully awake and aware, they may try to put the brakes on some. It's still going to be terrible. But they're already overextended worldwide and being resisted worldwide by other criminal forces and other independent forces and then just individuals. And there's no honor amongst them. So as their own minions see that the ship is to be sunk, they're all now stealing and kind of working on their own. So their coordination is breaking down. And now they're just a bunch of little chicken neck goblins up there serving the bankers like Napolitano and Chertoff who don't feel very confident. And that's good. That's why I've charged in hacking in every direction with an info axe. I've got a lot of you to start hacking at them hard. Ron Paul's been blowing holes in them big time. And all we can do is just start swinging, folks. All we can do is just go, you know what? You do whatever you got to do, globalists. We're hitting you hard. We're not going to mince words. We're not going to back off. We're going to run around like chickens with our heads cut off, screaming that you're terrorists and that you're the bad man. And, that way when you pull your next stop, we're going to obviously have eyes on the ground watching. And I know that freaks you out, and that's one of my main enjoyments in life. I'm not into possessions. My car can be backed into in a grocery store, and people are like, you're not mad? One time I walked out with a national media person I went and had dinner with, and my car had been driven into on the side. I'm like, I'll see you later. Like, you're not upset? And I'm like, oh, I don't care less. Because I'm not into possessions. But if I did have possessions, it's the pride of waking up tens of millions of people. Just the satisfaction, like a garden you plant and weeds you pull, and you're sitting there chopping up the carrots and the lettuce and everything you grew, and it's delicious and it's satisfying. Or I guess the satisfaction of, I haven't had this satisfaction yet, but I've heard about it, of watching your children grow up and be successful and good people. That's what I'm ready to die for. I don't want to die, but the point is I'm committed and fearless because I know how valuable a life well led that's honorable is. And that's why the system always tries to say I'm dishonorable or Ron Paul is dishonorable, because they have to pull down the idea of real people. They can't have examples to others or idols to others that you can model yourself after and become even greater. They have to make you think there isn't good in the world. There is so much good in the world. It outnumbers evil 100 to 1, but good never seems to want to stand up. Good never seems to see itself as the leader it is. So your prime directive, if you've got a soul left in you, priority numero uno, is to engage the New World Order, engage the scientific dictatorship, break people out of their trance, expose false flag terror, one of the key weapons of the New World Order. It's never been easier. Bilderberg, reportedly from multiple sources, was flipping out that they lost media control on Washington Post, LA Times, and others after we forced it, when it was reported that Al-Qaeda was working for NATO. I mean, there were red alerts going on, and they did shut that down after that. There were red alerts when it came out that the number 3 in Al-Qaeda was working for the Pentagon, Anwar al-Awlaki, and I predicted they'd stage his death, and they did, of course. And then recycled it as, oh, look, we'll kill U.S. citizens whenever we want, to set that precedent. The system, we have the tools, Al-Qaeda working for the West, Fast and Furious, banker bailouts, all the corruption, the notice insider trading in Congress started coming out. So they just came out and announced in full view, like demonic peacocks, that, oh, we're allowed to insider trade and give money to companies that we're invested in, and give money to companies our wives and husbands or sons own. And then the corporate whore media went along with the hoax and said, they're allowed to. You see how they work? I mean, they've shifted desperately with their psych warfare chiefs advising them to, and it is a good move, but it will fail, into just publicly squatting there in front of us. I mean, they're hidden in plain view. They are hidden in plain view right there. Scum, filthy, larcenous, dangerous terrorists, murderers, narcotics traffickers, child kidnappers, every crime, every racket run. The mafia, the global mafia is the New World Order. The Fortune 100 is the global mafia, anti-free market, and they're staging terror attacks so they can take over.
You don't need me to tell you.
All right, I'm going to jam in some calls for Mike and Johnny, and I'm going to do a little bit of Internet Overdrive here in a minute. I'll be on the Nightly News this evening. We got a 15-day free trial at Prisonplanet.tv, and your membership does support us here. I meant to get to this article today. Raw milk, good enough for Queen Elizabeth, but prohibited for ordinary Canadians, from Natural News up at Infowars.com. And yeah, I've seen this actually on PBS things. She's obsessed with organic and raw milk and drinks raw milk. She can get it, but people in England, and then they mentioned in New Hampshire and other states, are moving to not let the public have it. Of course, I did have some raw milk this morning, and all you control freak globalist crime syndicate operators can, you know where you can go, you scum. You can't stop us. We know who you are, maggots. You maggot filth. What's so good about it, though, is you're so evil, you buy into the whole system yourself. So just give yourself extra vaccines. I'm not evil enough to tell you give your kids the shots, but you will anyways because you serve it. You love it. I got a bunch of other key news we'll be covering tonight, but let's go back to your calls here as promised. Mike in Oklahoma, you're on the air.
Alex.
Yes, sir.
Thank you for speaking the real truth. I believe you. I've been listening for a year now. Tulsa, Oklahoma. Loud and clear. Please say some more about the fluoride water, GMOs, BPA. The chemtrails, they're spraying us like crazy. Never knew nothing about it till I heard your show. And I've lost my vision due to vaccinations as a child.
Oh, man.
I've just recently learned this. I can't use a computer. How can I get to reach you to get your tapes?
Well, sir, there's a lot of people in every community that make copies of my films, authorize folks to make copies for nonprofit educational purposes. But we'll put you on hold. If you give us your address, I'll mail you some of my DVDs free. And then hopefully you can get with some friends and make copies and pay it forward and give it to others. But anything else you'd like to add?
I tell everybody I know about your show. They think I'm nuts at first, but they actually, when they hear the real truth, they just stare at you.
Well, you're in Oklahoma. I've had the people from the Oklahoma building, the head of the HUD department. I've had the police officers on who the feds told will kill you if you talk about the bombs we planted. I mean, we have witnesses who saw the feds with the bombs. I mean, it's right there. And they couldn't kill all the cops. I mean, it's a fact. The federal government's murdering terrorists. I mean, of course they are. They don't care about 1 million Iraqis they've killed. They don't care about us either. And these idiots that say America's the home of goodness, of abortion and all, and of Hollywood. America has been taken over, and we need to be honest about that. I appreciate your call. Let's talk to Johnny in Kansas. Johnny, you're on the air.
Hey, am I there, Alex?
Yes, sir.
Hey, how's it going, man?
Good worldwide transmission. We got about a minute and a half.
All right, I'm going to change gears on you. There's a gentleman trying to get a hold of Ron Paul to speak with him about election. Right?
That'd probably be pretty hard. He's working about 18 hours a day.
Well, we really need to get these two guys together because he's going to set up a write-in campaign, okay? His name's Rod Class, C-L-A-S-S, and he's on a .com site, all right?
Well, here's the deal. If Ron Paul likes something and thinks it's a good idea, he'll get behind it. But if people think that's interesting, they should get it on over to Ron Paul.
I want to check that out. I've stumbled into something else, Alex, real quick. It seems that our governors are starting to execute executive orders. And what I've been looking at over here in Kansas, it's reminded me an awful lot of Lincoln Forward. I mean, they've just blown this executive order issue plumb out of the water. And they're bringing in the Agenda 21 issues under executive orders now.
Oh, yeah. America's going under UN regulations to fully suck the country dry and pay everything to the greedy, devilish bankers that are a bunch of murdering eugenicists. And it is unbelievable. And the Davos criminal scum is all meeting right now, deciding how to rape us further. It's unbelievably disgusting. All right, coming up, we've got Ben Fuchs. We've got all this incredible news. I got to cover this more, too, later, and on the nightly news tonight, 7 o'clock Central. Shock docs, total federalization of police under new Homeland Security mission. Mission creep, DHS agency abandons fighting terrorism, shifts to hiring police, taking over America. But I wanted to bring Ted Anderson up at Midas Resources because gold's running back up again, as we surmised it would because of global currency devaluation. They can drive it down for a while, but not long. You look at the last 12-year graph, it's going straight up with just a few manipulations downward. But Ted, you read Davos, they're scared of the public, they say, and they want to rob the middle class and transfer what's left to the bankers, and I guess a little chicken feed to the welfare class. But the globalists are not as arrogant as they used to be. Watching Davos, watching Homeland Security meetings, they look scared to death because they know how many crimes they've really committed.
Yeah, they sure do, and obviously the problems are compounding. I mean, now the Fed is extending the low interest rates, which basically means QE3. I don't think they have the guts to call it that anymore. But till the year 2014, they're going to try to hold down interest rates.
I forgot. They promised they'd never do QE3, but they did announce a week ago that they are doing it.
Yeah, they're doing it right now as we speak, and gold is reflecting that right now. We have 1708.10 gold. It's ran up over $40.70 today alone. Silver's at $33.36 an ounce. That's up $1.21. The precious metals markets are going up. The dollar's coming down. The funny thing is the Russell and the Dow and all that stuff is coming up too, but it's reflecting inflation, and they're back up to their old tricks, just like they have been. And all they're trying to do is keep this thing glued together with paste and Scotch tape, basically. You know, it's really crazy.
And that's just while they dig in and train the police to assault us and get their whole martial law grid set up. But I don't think it's going to work for them. They're so discredited. Ted, I know that while gold's been down and silver's been down, you've bought a bunch of it. You're able to sell it to folks at the old lower price, even though it's gone up substantively. What are some of the specials you've got today?
Well, right now, the things that I've got going on, I mean, obviously, we're still doing the Frank. It's at $371. We buy a full-year subscription to Bob's newsletter, The International Forecaster. But then we have $20 Liberties at $2,077. We have the Canadian Maple Leaf right now. Put up a whole bunch of new coins on the website, 1855.61 currently. I have a few more of those campaign for Liberty proofs. I know that there's a lot of people that are behind Ron Paul. This is the coin that he asked me to make for him, and that's why I did it. It's there at 509.27. There's a lot of things that we have going on. The dimes right now, a survival bag of dimes. I just, you know, with the way that the economy is going, you need to have small, proportionate forms of wealth that you can rely on that's not tied to this paper currency that we have right now. So that's important. Walking Liberty halves, I have a special going at $16.10, which is $2 and some less than I have on the internet. There's a few things that I have going on. Clean silver rounds are good at $36.60. You know, Alex, the market's running right now, and it's reflecting what's going on. They've been able to hold it down fourth quarter of this last year, which is amazing. But right now, obviously, that's not, you know, it's changing real fast. And with Ben Bernanke saying that we're going to have low interest rates all the way through the year 2014, when most economists were expecting interest rates to rise this year, means that there's going to be a lot of money printed, and they're trying to stimulate the economy again. That's
right. They've announced, and I barely even talked about that. I mean, stuff's happening so fast, I hardly even talked about Google announcing they're going to spy on everything you do and sell it to whoever they want. I mean, it's just, here's Washington Post. Google announces privacy changes across products. Users can't opt out. Google will soon know far more about who you are and what you do on the web. And then they just go on to admit it all, that they're just going to do whatever they want with it. Folks, I hope you give Midas Resources a call and tell them that you want to hear a list of the Alex Jones radio specials. The regular stuff's already a great price. 800-686-2237. 800-686-2237. And the rest of the transmission is coming up and then rebroadcast in the audio streams and podcast at Infowars.com, video podcast at Prisonplanet.tv. See you back tonight, 7.